And we are back. Welcome back to everyone's favourite video of the week. It is time for my Europa League and Europa Conference League predictions for Matchday 5. We have 32 fixtures for you today, as always. And yes, for those of you who are wondering, I am still in mourning after last night's capitulation from Manchester United. Reaction video available for you in the top left-hand corner of your screen. As for today, as I said, 32 fixtures. So before we get into it, if you haven't done so already, please do consider dropping a like on this video and subscribing to the channel if you're new around here. We do this every single European week. And of course, we'll have the return of Premier League predictions for you at this time tomorrow morning. Let's just get straight in to all of the Europa action. And we kick off with the Europa League as always. And what better place to start than in Group A with the game between Freiburg and Olympiacos. Now, Freiburg are not on the best of runs domestically, but in the Europa League, they are doing fantastic, whereas Olympiacos are on a great run domestically, but are doing terribly in the Europa League. So put that together and you get a 2-1 win for Freiburg this evening. The other game in that group sees Baka Topola taking on West Ham United. West Ham, who could have Jared Bowen back in the side this evening, but I don't think it would be worth the risk. Maybe if you give him like half an hour towards the end of the game to get him fit for the weekend. I'm going to go for a 2-0 to West Ham. This should not be a game they should be dropping points in. Into Group B, we start off with AEK Athens taking on Brighton and Hove Albion. Now, AEK Athens were able to pull off a 3-2 win away in Brighton in the reverse fixture. However, that is Athens' only win of the tournament so far. And Brighton were on a terrible run of form over the last couple of months. They were able to get a good result at the weekend despite Lewis Dunk's red card. He will, of course, be available for them this evening as it is a different competition. So I'm going to go for the Brighton win and I'm going to go for 3-1 in that one. The other game in the group sees Marseille taking on Ajax, a game which was a 3-3 draw in the reverse fixture way back when. New manager in charge for Ajax now, who has turned their fortunes around domestically, but they did lose to Brighton earlier on in a couple of weeks ago. So I'm expecting Ajax to lose again tonight. I think this European campaign is already over for them. They've just got to sort out their domestic form to get themselves in some sort of semblance of getting back to where they normally are in there. I'm going to go for 3-2 to Marseille. I think it's going to be a very, very entertaining game. But who knows? If Ajax win tonight and beat Athens in the final game, they can still progress either in the Europa League or in the Europa Conference League. Next up, it's Sparta Prague taking on Real Betis. A game which really should be in favour of the Spanish side, and that's the way I'm going to lean towards. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Betis. I believe that was the exact scoreline in the reverse fixture as well. And the other game sees Rangers taking on Aris Limassol. And guess what? I'm actually giving a Scottish club the win. Rangers are doing pretty well in this group, and I'm going to go for 2-0 to Rangers. Next up, it is Atalanta taking on Sporting Lisbon. Again, two sides, kind of like the first game, where Atalanta aren't doing as good as you'd expect domestically, but are doing well in this competition. Sporting Lisbon doing very well domestically, but not doing so well in this competition. They're still a battle of the top two, though, but given the fact that Atalanta also won the away fixture, I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to them. And secondly, we then have Sturm Graz taking on Rakow Częstochowa, and I am going to go for a 2-1 win to Sturm Graz to continue their good form in this group as well. Next up, we have the group of Liverpool, Lask, Toulouse and Union Saint-Gilloise, and we start off at Anfield with the game between Liverpool and Lask. Top of the group, facing bottom of the group. I just don't see this going any other way, even with Alisson injured, even with Diogo Jota injured. They're going to be resting players anyway, and I think whatever team they put out is going to be too much for Lask, and I'm going to go for a 3-0 win to Liverpool. The other game in the group is a little bit more interesting. I think on paper, if you just put the two sides against each other, Union Saint-Gilloise should probably be considered the favourites for this one. However, Toulouse at home are very, very good, especially in cup competitions. They're obviously in this competition because they won the French League Cup last year, and I'm going to back them to get the win over Union tonight. I think, like I say, Union should be considered the favourites, but I just think Toulouse are going to take this one. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win, which would actually see Liverpool and Toulouse qualify for the next round. Next up, it is Maccabi Haifa taking on Rennes, and again, realistically, this should be a game that Rennes do win. They've recently changed their manager because their form has not been great, but in Europe, they've done okay so far. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win for them. We shall see what happens there. And in the other game, it's Villarreal and Panathinaikos. And I'm basically going to give the exact same chat I've just given for the last one. Villarreal should be winning this one. On paper, they're a better team than Panathinaikos. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to them as well. Next up, it is Sheriff and Slavia Prague. a 6-0 win for Slavia Prague in the reverse fixture on this one. So because of that, I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to them this time. We obviously know what Sheriff are capable of, but we've just not really seen it this season in Europe, and I'm backing that form to continue tonight. And then we have Servette taking on Roma, which is a very, very interesting one. Because after Roma beat Servette 4-0, they haven't lost a single game, and they've only actually drawn one, and that was in a cup game, which they then won on penalties. So Servette are very, very good right now. I just think they've not played any competition as difficult as Roma, who are on a mixed run of form themselves, but I think they're going to get the win tonight, and I'm going to go for 2-0 to Roma. Then we have the final group, which starts off with Hacken taking on Bayer Leverkusen. I absolutely love this Bayer Leverkusen team under Xabi Alonso at the moment. It was a 4-0 win in the reverse fixture. I'm going for a 4-0 win tonight. And then finally, in the Europa League, it is Molde taking on Karabag, a game which, again, historically does not produce very many goals at all. So with that said, I'm going to go for a 1-0 win for Molde. That will do it for the Europa League, but fear not, we are not done. Let's move swiftly on to the Europa Conference League, into Group A, and we can do it all over again. And we start off with Klasviks, everyone's favourite team from the Faroe Islands, taking on Slovan Bratislava. And unfortunately, as much as I would love to see a team from the Faroe Islands continue to do well in Europe, I just don't think they've got enough to get through this group. And I'm going to go for another Slovan Bratislava win, emulating their result earlier on this season. And in the other game, it is Olimpia Ljubljana taking on Lille. And again, realistically, should be a comfortable win for the French side. I'm going to go for 3-0 to Lille. On to Group B, and we start off with Brindablik taking on Maccabi Tel Aviv. Again, you got to look at the form guides for this group and say that Brindablik have done absolutely terrible. Maccabi are doing pretty decent, so I'm going to go for a 2-0 win for them. And the other game in the group sees Genk taking on Zorya, and Zorya have pulled off some results in this group so far. Don't get me wrong, they are capable of doing something, but again, the Belgian side at home, I expect a dominant performance from them, and I'm going to go for a 4-1 win to Ghent. Next up in Group C, it is Astana taking on Dinamo Zagreb, and again, you just got to look at the form between the teams in this group and go, realistically, Dinamo Zagreb are going to take this one. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win for them. In the other game, it is Balkani taking on Victoria Pilsen. It was a tight game in the reverse fixture, but Victoria Pilsen have been the top side in this group so far, and I'm backing them to continue that with a 2-1 win this evening. On to the next group, we start off with Besiktas taking on Club Brugge, and I don't really know what's wrong with Besiktas this year. They have been pretty poor domestically, although that form has dramatically turned around in the last few weeks. However, they sit bottom of this group, where realistically, you would probably consider them the favourites for this group. They have done absolutely nothing. They deserve to be where they are in the group. But I just think with their domestic form turning around recently, with Club Brugge's form away from home not being very good domestically or in this competition, I'm going to give Besiktas the win tonight. And like I say, they should be winning these games regardless. But I don't know if they just don't care about the Europa Conference League. They just see it as a little bit beneath them. Maybe that's why they've been underperforming. I just think they're going to get the win tonight. Equally, we then have Bodo Glimt taking on Lugano in the other fixture. A very, very tight game. I believe it was 0-0 in the reverse fixture. And I'm going to go for a 1-0 win to Bodo Glimt tonight. On to the group that has AZ Alkmaar, Zrinjstar, Mostar, Aston Villa and Legia Warsaw. And again, another group which has provided a fair few upsets over the course of this season so far. Mostar were able to beat AZ Alkmaar 4-3 in the reverse fixture, which is a crazy result, all things considered. However, at home, you would expect AZ Alkmaar to beat a team like Mostar. I just think it's going to be a step too far, and I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to AZ Alkmaar. Then we have the battle of the top two. It is Aston Villa taking on Legia Warsaw, and I just think at home, Aston Villa are just so good. As much as I think Legia could pull off another result as they did in the reverse fixture, I just don't see it happening at Villa Park tonight. Villa will want to stamp their authority on this group. They will want to win this group, and the best way of doing that is to win tonight, and I'm going to go for a 3-0 win to Aston Villa. On to the next group, and we start off with Kukariki taking on Ferencváros, again in a game where Kukariki have really done nothing in this tournament so far. Ferencváros are doing okay, the Hungarian side. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Ferencváros in that one, but I'm not too sure on that one. The other game I am a bit more sure on, it's Fiorentina taking on Ghent, and I just have to think Fiorentina are going to take this one. Their home form, especially in Europe, is outstanding, and I'm going to go for a 3-1 win for them. Second to last group sees HJK Helsinki taking on Aberdeen. The bottom two sides in this group, they've both absolutely stunk in this competition. This is an absolute nothing game, so I'm just going to go for a blanket 2-1 win to the home side, because honestly, either side could play their full reserves because there's just nothing really to play for. And yeah, like I say, they're the worst two teams in the group. I'm just going to go for a 2-1 win for the home side. While that game is going on, the top two sides in the group will be going at it between Eintracht Frankfurt and PAOK. And again, I think PAOK are capable of producing something, but I just do like the Frankfurt team at the moment. I really like their young midfielder, Chivy, and I think he's going to produce another good performance tonight. And I'm going to go for a 2-0 win for Eintracht Frankfurt. And then the final group starts off with Nordsjælland taking on Fenerbahce. Again, a battle of the top two. I think this one is far too close to call. Fenerbahce got the win in the reverse fixture, but I just think Nordsjælland are playing very, very good football at the moment, both domestically and in the Europa Conference League. And I think they are capable of pulling off a 2-2 draw against Fenerbahce tonight. However, Fenerbahce should definitely be considered the favourite. That just leaves the final game of the night between Spartak Sremska and Ludogorets. And no real surprises if you followed my series before. I can never say their name, Spartak, but they're not really that good, and Ludogorets have a good history in these European competitions, and I'm going to go for a 3-0 win to Ludogorets. Let me know all of your thoughts down in the comments section. It's been another chaotic set of predictions for you all today. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back same time tomorrow for the next round of Premier League predictions. I will see you then.